Hey everyone, this is Harish. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video, I'll be discussing about how can you log into a system, whether it is a local system or a remote system, with the help of a terminal. We will not be using any type of graphical user interface because when you work with the servers and all other stuff like router, you will just get a terminal. So we'll try to see how can we log into any system in the world using the terminal, provided you have a credential. Okay, so without any further ado, let's start the video. Before moving on with the today's topic, I highly recommend you to watch my previous video because for today's session that is important, as I have discussed in that what is terminal, shell, what is a command line, what is a console, everything I have discussed in detail in that. So the link would be provided in the I button above, and it will also be provided in the description box below. I have a system here, okay, which might be a laptop or a PC. I have to log into the system with the help of a terminal. So there will be multiple users. They will be logging into a single system using a different terminal. You would have studied in your operating system subject, like nowadays modern operating systems are basically Linux, Mac OS. They are multi-user operating system. That means there would be a single physical machine, but there would be a terminal which is created with the help of software, wherein a user can log in using their credentials. So there would be multiple users logged into a single system at once. Okay, so think of this is one terminal, this is second terminal, this is third terminal, this is fourth terminal. So this is the first demo which we will be seeing. So for this purpose, I'll be making use of Red Hat. So this is basically my Red Hat virtual box. You can do this on a real system as well, or you can use any your Ubuntu, Fedora, CentOS, any distribution, Linux distribution. Okay, so let me log in. I will log in as a root user and I'll provide the password. Here you can see I have logged into a Red Hat Enterprise Linux which is installed in the virtual box. You can do the same thing in any Linux distribution and the procedure will remain the same. So here I am on a graphical user interface. Let me open the terminal. So let me just recap the different what is present within the terminal. So as we have seen in the last video, so this one here, root, this one is called as my username. So this username may be varying with respect to the person, example Harish, Ramu, Raju, anything. And this is my system name, which is localhost. Hash symbol indicate that I have logged in as root user. Okay, if you have a dollar symbol in your Linux, it is as you are a normal user. This is the convention what we follow. If you are using some other shell like Z shell and all, you will find something known as percentage, which I will show you in the demo part. Okay, so this is a basic syntax. What is that? You will have a username, then @ followed by a system name which is a host name, then you'll have something like dollar, hash, percentage, or some just a slash. This indicate that you are a normal user. Hash indicate you have logged in as a root user, or you can just see the name here, root. Okay, what is root user, what is normal user, what sort of privilege they hold, all these things I'll be explaining in the future video. As of now, just remember that if any user has been logged in, that would be displayed here at the leftmost corner, followed by which system he has logged in, whether it is the same system or other system, followed by the symbol just to indicate like has what privilege he has been logged in. And if you are in a home directory, there would be a symbol known as tilde. This is the home directory symbol. Okay, and if you are in a root directory, you will see this slash symbol, / symbol. What is this home directory? What is this root directory? All these things I will be explaining. Just remember, if there is root, either a name or a symbol, this root name is corresponding to the symbol / and the tilde symbol is nothing but a home directory, which is also known as a user directory. Let's start the demo. You can see on the screen, I have logged in as a root user. How will you come to know you have logged in as a root user? You can see the name here, root @ localhost is my system name. If not, there is a command, who am I? It is telling you are a root user. Okay, now the person who has logged into this system is the root. Okay, but if you want to know how many users have been logged into the system, you can use who command. Okay, so see, now there are terminal 2, terminal 3. So now in this terminal you can see that there is a username followed by a system name followed by a tilde operator, which means I am on my home directory, which is the root directory. Okay, and there is a hash symbol which indicates I have logged in as a root user. So if I want to know the name, there is a command known as who am I. Okay, it is telling root, you have logged in as a root user. If I want to log into the same system, that is nothing but the local host and with some different user. Okay, so what I can do, in your Linux system they provide something known as a virtual console. So what happens in your basically any system is, this is your system, you have a display here, you have a keyboard here, this is to give the input to system and this is to display the output. Okay, so this whole thing is known as the console, which I have already explained in my previous video. Okay, because this machine is present physically, but in the real world we don't get to interact with the physical console. Majorly there would be a virtual console. What are those? Every physical console, that is every operating system like Linux, they provide some of the virtual console. Along with the physical console, your operating system will provide some virtual console, or you can call it as a logical console. What are these? These are a full-fledged machine, an entire computer which is created with the help of a software. Okay, so you don't have multiple. If 5 users want to access the same system, we don't give a 5 different user or 5 different computers. We just provide them one system which will have 5 terminal or 5 consoles through which they will get a login prompt where they are supposed to provide their credential like login ID and password. Then they would be redirected to the same system. As I told, your system will have some logical console, or you can call, in a single system you have different logical systems, okay, which are created with the help of a software. So how can you access those systems is, there is a keyboard shortcut, or you can call it as a hotkey, that is by pressing Ctrl CTRL plus ALT in your keyboard followed by plus a function key which is ranging from F1 to F6. Okay, so what is the pattern you have to follow? In your keyboard, what you have to press is Ctrl plus Alt plus either F1 or F2 or F3, so on till F6. Okay, so your Red Hat Enterprise Linux is providing you 6 console which are virtual console. Okay, virtual, you can call it as logical, but these are not physical. So your Red Hat provides 6. Depending on the operating system, for Ubuntu, for other distribution Linux, this hotkey may vary. Okay, key combination may vary. You can Google things like for Ubuntu, what are the key combination to get the virtual consoles. So as I am using Red Hat Enterprise Linux, for this we have total 6 functions keys. That means I can access 6 virtual consoles. Okay, so let us see how we can do that. So if I have 6 virtual consoles, that means 6 users can access the system simultaneously, okay, with the help of a login ID and a password which will be given by the system admin. So let us see the demo part. So you can see now I am on my root system. So if I want to go to different console, I'll be pressing Ctrl Alt F3. See, you can see I don't have any sort of graphics. Just focus on this. I don't have any sort of graphics. What it is telling is activate the web console. There is one web console. It is just giving me the login prompt wherein the system is localhost. You can see my mouse here. The system is localhost, but I have to provide the login. Okay, so I will be logging as a Harish user. Okay, then I will provide the password for this. You can see here I have logged into the localhost, the same system, with the help of Harish. Now it is no more root user. You can verify using who am I command. Who am I? You can see now it is Harish. If you see previously, if I press Ctrl Alt F2, in this console or it is a terminal, I will be interchanging the word between console and terminal. You don't get confused. Console and terminal refers to the screen, okay, the character based interface screen. So here you can see, to the localhost machine I have logged in as a root user. If I press Ctrl Alt F3, a new login session has been created for me, and I have logged in as a Harish user by providing appropriate password. And you can see the system is again the local host, okay. To which terminal I have logged in, you can type using tty command. Tty will tell you have logged into terminal 3. So you can see device terminal 3. What is this? I'll be explaining in future. For the time being, you just remember everything in Linux is a file, okay. The device, whatever the keyboard, display, everything is a file. So inside this device folder, I have a file tty3. Because I have pressed Ctrl Alt F3, that is a third terminal, so it is 3. If I want to go to the other terminal, what I can do, Ctrl Alt F4. See, this is the other terminal. Let me log in as a Prasad. For your kind information, this Harish, Prasad, all these are different users which I have already created, okay. So you can see this shell or this terminal has a different shell prompt, as I already discussed. Now I am using a Z shell, okay. You can check my previous video, that is the first video. In that I have explained the different types of shell like bash, Z shell, K shell, all these things. So in this I have logged in the local system itself, but in this local system I have logged in as a Prasad user. I can check that using who am I command. You can check here Prasad. So this time the user is Prasad, okay. What happens is, if you just type a command echo $shell, you can see which shell I have logged in. I have logged into Z shell. If I go to the previous terminal, Ctrl Alt F3, you can see echo which shell I have logged in. I have logged into bash shell. That means every terminal is a way to access the shell, okay. So you can work on any shell, okay, with respect to your choice. You can work either in bash, you can work in Z shell, any shell. You have to, by default, every Linux system provides a bash shell. If you want any other shell, you have to explicitly install it. How can you install other shell? You just write yum install. If you are working in Ubuntu, you can just use instead of yum, you can use apt, which is the package management tool. The rest of the commands remain same. Once you install the Z shell, you cannot directly work on it. You have to change your configuration file, which is your bash shell, okay. In your home directory, you will find .bashrc file, which you have to change. In that, you have to edit your default shell as bash. So all these things I will be explaining in the future video. How can you configure your own shell? How can you customize your shell, everything. So as of now, what you have to remember is, for a single system, there might be multiple consoles or terminal through which you can get access to the shell by providing a certain credential, okay. In Red Hat, you have 6 virtual terminal. If you want to go for a graphical terminal in the same way, what you can do, Ctrl Alt F1. If you press Ctrl Alt F1, you will get the graphical way to log in, okay. But this is also running inside a virtual terminal itself, okay. So if I want to log in as a root user, you just give root, give the password, appropriate password. So you can see now I have logged in as a graphical. So what happens is, basically your system provides a multiple consoles through which you can log into your system, a local system, wherein the F1, Control Alt F1 and Control Alt F2 will provide you the graphical way of login to a system, whereas F3 to F6 will provide you a different terminal with a different login session. A different user can log into that. And if you want to know how many users are logged in as of now, you can type who command. You can see as of now there are 3 persons who have logged in. One is a root, he is available in terminal 2. One is the Harish, he is available in terminal 3. Prasad, he is available in terminal 4, and what time he has logged in, every details is present here. Okay, so who can access these details? No other user can see these details except the root user, because root user has a superpower. Okay, I'll be explaining what is this root user in future. You will be amazed to understand how much power the root user have. You can, go into every part of your operating system. You can change any code with the help of a root user. So if I go to Harish and see who all the user have logged in, I cannot see that, because for that I need a root privileges. For that you can use sudo command to get that. Okay, so as of now you can see there are 3 users logged in. One is the root, who has been logged in terminal 2. The other one is Harish in terminal 3, Prasad in terminal 4. Okay, this is how we can log in the local system. In case if I want to log into this system, which is my virtual box, from the Windows system. Now that we have seen how can a multiple user log into a single system using a different terminal, and they can have a different shell as well within the terminal, okay, as per their need, using a login credential. Now I will show you how can you access your Linux system from the Windows terminal, or vice versa, from the Windows terminal, from the Linux terminal, how can you access the Windows system. Okay, so think this is my Windows system, and here I have, this is my Linux system, which is a virtual box. So I need to access the Linux shell, okay, because if I access the shell only, I can do the operation, right? How can I access shell? With the help of a terminal. So basically I have to log into the terminal by providing certain credential, and I have to access this Linux shell to do a operation. How can I do? To do this, there is a very famous networking protocol in the market, which is called SSH, which is secure shell. Okay, before this there were other protocols as well, such as remote shell or telnet. Now these programs we don't use much because of it doesn't provide the security when you are transmitting your data over a network. So what we make use is, we make use of SSH protocol, which by default, it is enabled in 22 port number. Again, what is this port number? What are this protocol? How do they work? This thing I will be covering in my other bootcamp, in networking bootcamp. As of now, what you have to remember is there is a protocol called SSH, okay, which will work on 22 port by default. If you want, you can change the port number as well, because port number is a 16-bit number. So 16-bit means 2 power 16. Total maximum possibilities of port number is 65,536. So by default it is starting from 0, so it will range from 65,535. I don't know whether the figures are right or what. So if not, you can just calculate it, 2 power 16, you will get the value. So by default SSH use a port number 22. If you want to change the port number, if 22 is busy using other thing, and you can change this port number by by changing the config file of the SSH. So you have one system, that is my Windows operating system. I have my other system, which is a Linux. So I need to log into this Linux system, okay, via a network. So as of now I am using my local network, means my Linux system and Windows is connected to the same network. Okay, this thing I will be doing via SSH protocol. For that you have to install SSH protocol in your system. This, how to install, how to configure your SSH, this thing I will be covering in the future videos. So this SSH protocol is already installed in my system. So what I will do, I will just make use of this SSH protocol and give to which system I want to log in, the host name or the IP address with what username, and I will provide the password, and I can directly log into Linux system. How is that? Let us see. So this is my Linux system. Let me see the IP address of my Linux system. For that you can use ifconfig command. So this is my IP address of my Linux system. Let me copy this. So I have opened here my Windows terminal. With the help of this Windows terminal, which is PowerShell, I will try to log into this Linux system. Okay, then whatever files and folders are available here, you can see in this terminal. How can we do? I'll be using SSH protocol. If you want to check whether the SSH protocol is available in your system, you can just type SSH and it will give something like this output. That means your SSH is been successfully installed in your system. So SSH client has been successfully installed. So what I'll do, I'll tell SSH protocol what I need to log into a remote system whose IP address is this one. This is my system address, okay, virtual machine address. So what is the username? I want to log in as a root user @ This was the syntax which we followed, right? From the initial, we are following the same syntax, that is username @ followed by a host name. You can give your host name or you can give an IP address. So this is my IP address. I'm telling SSH protocol, go to my system and log in as a root user. Let me hit enter. It is asking me for the password of the root user. Let me hit enter the password. So I have already entered the password. It will not display in the screen because due to the security reason, it is not echoing in the system, but behind the scene, it is accepting your password. In case your password is wrong, it will tell the password is wrong. So my password is right and I have successfully logged into this system at this time. Okay. So see, you can see I have got the root login. Initially, you can see my prompt was this one. I'm in PowerShell C drive. User HPK has a username desktop. The moment I logged into my system, I got root @ local system. Similar to this one, right? I will just type who am I. Okay, who am I? It is telling I am a root user. That means I have logged into my Linux system via SSH protocol. Let me see the files. So you can see I have pictures, practice CPP, RAM contains txt file. When I go to my Linux system, I can see the same file. That means I have successfully logged into my Linux system, which has been installed in the virtual box via a SSH protocol. But the other way of accessing nowadays a cloud system, example Azure or AWS or GCP, if you have any instance or any system running in the GCP or AWS, we don't use this mechanism, that is providing a login ID and password. Instead, what we do is we do key based authentication, okay, which I will be covering in the next video. How can you configure your SSH such that you can log in via a key based authentication. What happens in that is your AWS or GCP system, whatever you have created in that, okay, what it does is the moment you create a system, they provide a file, okay, they provide a file which consists of a private key. Okay, that file is basically known as PIM file, which is nothing but a privacy enhanced mail. This is one way of accessing the remote system via SSH, but in practical we don't follow this mechanism. We don't give a login name and password. Instead, what we do, for an example, you can see here I have an system. For example, you can see I have a system, Red Hat system, which is running in my AWS, which is a cloud service provider. You can do the same thing in your GCP, Azure or Alibaba or IBM, any cloud. I'm running a machine or instance which is Red Hat system. What I will do is I will access this system via SSH, but now I will not be using any password. Once I install the system in the AWS, what they do, they give me one file whose extension is PEM, which stands for Privacy Enhanced Mail. That file consists of a private key. What we do here is we follow a key based authentication. That means the AWS will provide me a file with the private key and I will have one public key. The system AWS also will have a public key. Whatever the Red Hat system which I have installed in the AWS cloud will also have a public key. The public key would be the same, but private key would vary. So once I have created the system in AWS, I will get one key. Okay, so that thing I can access via a SSH. Okay, for that purpose I am using a PuTTY, which is a tool to access any system via SSH protocol. So you can see AWS. So this is my username, EC2-user. This is a default username which is provided by AWS. This is my public IP address. Every time when you log in, you have to change this IP address, okay, because this is dynamic. And as I told, SSH work in port 22, okay. So when I try to log in, you can see here I have successfully logged into my Amazon account without providing any username or any password, basically password, okay. When I see what is present in my AWS, there is some file. Let me try to display this file. Okay, it is like, hey folks, welcome to AWS instance. I'm located in Mumbai. So basically this system, whatever Red Hat system, is located in Mumbai. So I'm not giving any sort of password because I was accessing this via a SSH protocol. But whenever I created the system in Amazon has provided me a key, okay. It is a kind of a password, so which is installed in my system. So whenever I try to communicate to my Red Hat system, what it does, this SSH protocol, what it will do, it will take my private key, whatever was given by the AWS, it will verify with the private key which is there in the Red Hat system, okay. So what, with the help of a public key, it will try to get the try to authenticate. So whatever the key is present in my system and the key present in the AWS system would be verified, then it would be logged in. So basically the private key is acting as a password, okay. This is the best mechanism which we follow, where there is a security is high because that key is kept secret, okay. It is not told to anybody else. So you can see here, whenever I do AWS load, I have given that key here SSH. If I go to authentication, so how can you log into your any cloud system using SSH protocol, and you follow something known as key based authentication, which I will be covering in the next video. So that's it for today. If you have any doubt, let me know in the comment section. I would love to clear your doubts. And if you want any video on specific topic, let me know that also in the comment section below. So I will see you in the next video. Until then, keep learning, keep growing.